Hello, everybody, and welcome to our podcast, Welcome to Livingston, where we invite local businesses, people, and organizations in to talk about what they are giving to our community. My name is Don Pacella.
And I'm Angela Pacella, and we're with the Pacella Group Real Estate Professionals. As realtors and brokerage owners, we bring valuable insight into the local market and community every week. Thanks for listening, and welcome to Livingston.
Hello, and welcome, everybody, to another episode of our podcast, Welcome to Livingston, where we invite local businesses in to talk about what they're doing in the community. My name is Don Pacella.
And I'm Angela Pacella, and we're with the Pacella Group Real Estate Professionals.
Yeah, and we are so excited about today's episode. We have a great company in with us, but before we get started, just wanted to take a moment to recognize our sponsor. So today's episode of the Welcome to Livingston podcast is brought to you by our valued sponsor, Jim Paquette with Lake Michigan Credit Union. He is a trusted mortgage lender who has lived and worked in our community for many years. Jim Paquette is dedicated to helping our neighbors achieve their home ownership dreams and is proud to support the local businesses that make our area special. So let's dive into some of the incredible stories with the entrepreneurs we have with us today. So we are so excited today. Today with us, we have from Precision Pavers, Zach and Dan. Thanks so much for coming in today.
Yeah, thanks for having us out. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
So before we get started here, to everyone that doesn't know, what is Precision Pavers?
We are a full-service landscape and maintenance including summer and winter company. Our goal is definitely to bring a vision to life, whether it's I want my grass cut, but I want it cut right throughout the summertime. I want the snow removal services done for my commercial parking lot. We don't do a whole lot of residential snow removal services, but a lot of commercial snow removal services, including the sidewalks. Doing it right the first time. And then our core for 25 years now that we've been in business is hardscape. So brick paver patios, sidewalks, driveways, things of that nature. A lot of retaining walls to bring, not only from a functionality standpoint, from a look standpoint, to bring that to reality. So a little bit of a rundown of who we are.
That is great. And I know pavers being the core part of your business, you know, the brick and all that, that's an area that a lot of homeowners, they have no idea where to start, and they have no idea what is or isn't possible about their house. Mm-hmm. So when somebody calls you up and, you know, I mean, what do? They call you up and they're like, hey, I want a patio, or they're, hey, I want my backyard to look beautiful.
We get both. We definitely get both because there is, if you don't know what you don't know, right? And so if nothing changes, nothing changes. So to make the call is the first step. Getting an understanding of what the vision is, what you're trying to accomplish, is definitely our priority. Whether it be patios, pergolas, we can do decks as well. On the hardscape side, retaining walls, whether it's a legit issue, water-related issue, retaining wall functionality issues, or just a beautification part of my outdoor living space, because as much as it's limited here in Michigan, we can spend a lot of time out there for the months that we get.
Right.
And instead of it just being called a backyard or a pool deck or my patio, referencing it as a living space is kind of important, because you could bring a lot to it in terms of outdoor kitchens and full functional things that a lot of people don't realize you can do. So digging in and just realizing or understanding what the scope of work looks like, and then we can do our piece to dissect that and propose an option to bring that to reality.
Perfect. Cool. That seems like a great resource.
Yeah, and I think for us to, part of the big process for us is we like to really go over with the homeowner of what that process looks like. I feel like there's a lot of homeowners just don't know what they're getting into.
Right. You know, they really don't.
So, and there's more to the process than, okay, I'm just going to dig out, the dirt, the existing patio or whatnot, and then I'm going to install a new one. Well, there's much more of a process to the application than what a lot of people know, And so walking them through what that looks like, of how much sub-base they should get, what kind of material is going in the ground, and there's so many different suppliers, and just walking them through those processes and really making sure they understand the process instead of just signing a contract with somebody and, hoping that they get the best.
Right.
But really walking them through that process and what it looks like.
And communication, I think, is so important, especially in terms of when a homeowner is hiring someone to do renovations at their home and to make it look beautiful. At least being able to communicate and know, what the plan is, how long is something going to take, and how just to manage those expectations.
And what kind of impact it's going to have on their life, right? So I was going to ask a question with companies like yours. So is the flip shows and the Property Brothers, do they help you or harm you? Because there's just this, I'm sure the people that watch those shows, they have a different impression of what it is than what it actually is.
Yeah, and I don't think, if I could elect for a third answer, I don't want to say neither. I would say help in the sense that someone's vision can become a reality, right? It shows that.
Right.
On all those flip shows, inside and outside.
Right.
Whether it's whatever, Fixer to Fabulous, or these houses they build in 90 days.
Right.
Your house is your indoor living space. Your yard is your outdoor living space, if you choose to use it as that. With it, the help part is showing that it can be done. It's real. When they assign a budget to them, it's weird because it's different for every market. Right? So what's happening in the South is completely different than here. They don't go through the freeze-thaw cycles that we do. Right. The products are completely different in terms of what is installed. Sometimes you can mix and match both. Well, actually, a lot of times you can, but there are variations maybe in terms of how that is installed and how that's done. So I would say for the most part, it helps, but there may be some on the no side, false expectations of what can be achieved with certain price points based on the area that they're in.
Right, because they don't understand that pricing is local.
Correct.
Right, and the other thing that I have found is those things don't happen in the 2 days that 700 people show up to do the work on these shows. Right.
Yeah. It's if you're doing it right.
If you're doing it right,
you be able to make it look right in 2 days. But if it's actually installed right and you want some longevity out of what's been done, it's usually going to take more than that. It depends on the scope of work, obviously.
Right.
But I would say in general it helps. But there are some, maybe to your point, false expectations that come from it. And you're like, okay, well, we know the reality, but that's okay. It's a TV show.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. So what are some of the more popular projects you guys end up doing?
I would say in terms of not only what we've built our core on and tried to be known for, but the most popular is the typical backyard living space of I want a patio, right? And it is sometimes plug and play of let's remove the pre-existing poured concrete patio that's there. It's got cracks, it's weathered, it's whatever is taking place. That comes out, a new patio comes in, sometimes of the same size, a little bit larger. Let's add some functionality to it in some different ways. That is the most common for us. Following up with that is a lot of when you've got a pool, you spend a lot of time there, right? It's not everybody's got one. So when you do, people come to you. We've got the pool, come over. And as the people who own the pool, you enjoy the time with those that come over for it, and you enjoy the pool with them. So there's a lot of pool work done, pool decks, specifically in terms of bringing a nice vibrant atmosphere to a pool deck. But I would say those consist of probably 25% a piece. The other 50% is functionality stuff. I've got an issue with a retaining wall. There's issue with water coming into my basement. There's issue with this hill here, and I need to get a retaining wall built and redirect the water. So I know it's not a cut and dry, straight answer to the question you asked, but those would probably be the 2 or 3 situations we're working through. Yeah.
I've seen some of your guys' projects. I know there's a house in my subdivision that you guys did a huge project on that has, they came in and you guys ripped out everything in the front yard. I mean, and you put in, retaining walls and a unilock driveway that I think is
stunning.
Heated underneath. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the extent of the projects you guys can do, and I can just say for that house, when you guys come in to do a project, it can be transformational for the look of the house.
Absolutely. And it's shout out to Unilock, another Livingston County company, right? Based out of Brighton, who makes wonderful products. That is the majority of what we install. I am based on the with a project obviously comes a vision from the homeowner, but understanding the vision on our end and then the reality of how to accomplish that vision. Dan was the mastermind behind that one, so I'm going to turn him over to to the mic on that project so we can talk a little more about it.
Yeah, so that was a huge project, obviously. It's funny because when we very first started just envisioning what's going to happen at this place, there was no circle driveway. There was no... so basically the front yard was just grass and trees. And so it's envisioning of what can this look like? And so for us, it's funny because I do a lot of designing, obviously, and sometimes when you meet a homeowner, they're like, I really can't envision what's going to happen here. I know what I want, but I don't really know what it looks like. And so for me, just coming up with ideas of what would look best for this situation and what they like, I love doing it, And so presenting mock-ups for the homeowner, it was a long process, obviously, because I can design something and then, a lot of things they will like, and then there's some things, hey, maybe let's switch it, let's tweak it a little bit. And so we did a lot of that for multiple months. When you have a big project,
Right.
it's going to take time. It's not something that just happens overnight, And so we did a lot of editing with our 3D design program, and then really just finding that vision for that customer, and then we made it come to life. But within that time of when we're ripping it out and tearing it apart, and then we're redoing it all, small things do change too. So like when you're ripping apart the patio, and then the homeowner's like, oh, well, maybe we should add, this area. Well, I can, edit that on the mock-up and kind of show them of what it would look like, So that's really cool. Part of our company is, being able to mock up the projects, before we're actually doing it, and then kind of showing them what it would look like, And so we finally came together, we got it going, and then we just made it happen. It took 2 months, but most jobs don't, go 100% according to plan, and let's set that expectation. But
then you do such a great job with it that it's worth the wait.
100%. And, one of the great things about technology, and it's come so far, is you guys are able to do these designs and mock-ups where the house is there and you're actually seeing in the picture. It's not conceptual anymore to the homeowner. They can actually see this is what my yard's going to look like.
Helps them visualize.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of times, especially some of the ones Dan does, so much time and effort put into those. But if you're looking at it on a screen, a lot of times you're like, is this a real photo? Or is this a mock-up, right?
Yeah.
There's certain times where, because there's so much reality to the actual house and what the backyard could look like, and being able to plug and play. I don't like the look of that brick paver or that pattern. Let's switch it up to this, or let's bring this out and that back. Kind of like Dan was just saying. That's visualizing the reality is huge. It'd be tough to build a house without having any idea what it'd look like, just being told. Right. So when you kind of get on the same page and understand the scope of a project, the relative cost of a project, and then the design comes to life, it's like, okay, now I'm really starting to see what this investment is like for me. And we take great pride in those. And all credit to Dan on that, because you put me in front of that software program, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
And I think it's a little bit hard to ask for a customer. And, we do all types of projects, but like if a customer's, we'll say $50,000, that's their budget. Well, it's kind of hard to ask a customer to spend $50,000 without seeing it, like seeing it, like obviously not for real, but like on a program.
That way they know what to expect and what they'd be getting.
Absolutely. So it's a huge value for us, just being able to provide that for the customer. And even if it's, a small little patio, $5,000-$10,000, we're willing to help that customer envision, what it would look like, because we just see the value in that. So
well, and a lot of people, they don't know what's possible in their backyard. So they're like, hey, I want a nicer space. but they don't know what can go back there, what should go back there. In the case of you have a pool and it's got concrete around it, a lot of people don't realize, hey, this could be pavers.
Right.
It's this whole, when someone reaches out to you guys, how does that process work in terms of talking them through a project and getting them setting their vision in place?
Whether it's a phone call to us or someone we meet somewhere, however the introduction begins, first step is obviously saying, okay, what is it that you're looking to do, to have done verbally over the phone? And then the next step would be physically stepping foot at that physical location to lay eyes on it. We've got the ability, thank goodness for technology, to do a lot of measurements via satellite that are pretty darn accurate in terms of the scope of that work. And we're working a lot with square footage. Square footage is when we're doing hardscape jobs, cutting grass, plowing snow, salting parking lots, whatever that is, to get the measurement of the square footage. And then beyond that would be, if we understand the scope of work, the square footage that you're looking to have worked on, or face footage if it's a retaining wall, right, whether we're going flat or up, then we're going to take the options that come to play. So from a retaining wall, selection standpoint, there are some pretty big variances in price points of how you can accomplish retaining walls. Brick pavers are a little closer, a little tighter to each other, but there is some fluctuation in terms of some of the brands. There's a lot that are done with brick pavers in terms of what is sealed, what's not sealed, face mix, through mix. Colors usually don't change price point much, but the colors that are available. And then take that square footage with the understanding of an estimated cost of the project, and then to start plug and play. Here's some sample pieces. We will bring those physically to the house. Say, if you were to go with this, here's a couple pieces of what it looks like and the associated price. Here's a few pieces of this option. Those are usually derived from a catalog. There are a lot of different brands of brick pavers. We work with 3 or 4 of them. To visualize from a catalog what it could look like, then the physical pieces will come to the homeowner's property to show them, and then the choice would be made from there, whether it's their pick based on the look of it, the functionality of it, or the price point that comes with it. So, and then from there, let's start moving some dirt, some brick, some concrete. Yeah, make it happen.
Yeah, how far in advance does someone need to?
We've done projects that the conversation starts a year in advance of let's just get the ball rolling. We want to understand what the associated price point would be or could be with this. And once some measurements are taken and some relative numbers are discussed, it could be 12 months out from and it's typically, we can move a lot faster than that on our end, but a lot of times it's from a homeowner's perspective or a commercial project, whatever the job is. We even do stuff for HOAs too. So a lot of times it takes some time for voting and approval to happen on that. But some of it is, and a year is pretty far out. There's a lot of projects. We just had one in the fall where it was, we went and met, shook hands, discussed the scope of work, and 2 weeks later we were breaking ground. So we understood his interest in moving really quickly and wanting that job done before the snow fell and the ground was frozen. So Dan did the 3D design and picked a color, picked a block. There was multiple retaining walls for a house on a lake, and we had to move quick. We were trying to beat Mother Nature.
Right. Yeah. And we don't think about that. Once the frost sets in, you guys are done working on that kind of stuff.
For the most part, yeah. So when it comes to retaining walls, if you're, not to get into the nitty gritty, but from a base layer standpoint, if you've got things started, it's a little plug and play after that, heading vertically, because it's cold out. It doesn't mean we necessarily like working in it, but that part's not frozen in terms of the ground and the frost and the movement that can take place. But to your point, generally, yes, we're not doing a whole lot. That's when the snow mindset sets in for snow removal and salting services. Prime examples right now, there's what's called frost laws on the road. So it is extremely reduces the amount of weight that we can haul with our trucks and trailers to do jobs. So as much as we have stuff that we'd be happy to start on today, we can't because of those laws that are in place, which is to protect the roads and limit the amount of damage that takes place. But once those frost laws come off, which ideally would be in the next week or two, it's fair game to full throttle and move ahead. So yeah,
Very cool.
Absolutely.
You guys will be off to the races then.
we will. Yeah, there's stuff on the books that started last fall. In terms of, back to the last question, design, consulting, understanding things, and we're going to get rolling on the reality of breaking ground, which is not only exciting for us, but the people that are having us do the job, right?
Right.
And stuff that's still in the pipeline now, where we're determining the realities of what the job will look like, and we'll be rolling. It'll be good.
Very cool. Now, I know you guys mentioned at the beginning there, like people doing outdoor kitchens, and what are some of the more extravagant things that people are asking for? Are like those outdoor kitchen patio spaces still popular?
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, I'm going to let you run with this one, because when it comes to design, there's a lot of plug and play from his end between different kitchen pieces.
I would say some of the most common things right now specifically is, people outdoor fire pits, but with gas.
Great. Yeah.
Gas fire pits. A lot of people like to be able to turn an ignition and have a fire.
Right.
They don't want to necessarily go get the wood or cut the wood or
have to sit out there and wait for the wood to die down to come in.
They push a button and they have fire.
Right.
So I'd say that's probably the most popular right now. And it's fairly affordable, so it's a little bit, obviously it's more than just putting a natural fire pit in there, but
well, and I can imagine for people, like if you have the fire pits that you're getting from Costco or you're buying, like inevitably when you want to use it is when the propane tank goes out, right? You have a big party Friday night, it's a half hour into it and there goes the fire. Yeah. So having those ones that hook up to a natural gas line, I mean, that's a huge benefit for people.
It always turns on. Yeah, it always fires up, and it gets crazy. Pizza ovens we've put in, right?
Really?
Outdoor
Wow.
pizza ovens are our thing. The costs associated with them, you got to really like pizza in order to do that, or you just have to have a lot of money and say, I want one. But pizza ovens are big. Outdoor, depending on what kind of covers, gazebos, pergolas, underneath decks, fans are a really big thing. To sit outside, enjoy the weather, be in the shade, and even though it's 90 degrees, you got a fan cranking and you're comfortable.
Right.
Sinks, fridges, built-in grills are big, whether it's on an island.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And the option comes into play there, whether you want to run it off propane or natural gas. And we've done it both ways. Propane, where it's just the tank that goes underneath, or someone's house is back in the woods and they run off propane right off the big tank, the pig themselves. Or it's in a subdivision that's everybody's got natural gas and they want a natural gas grill in there too. So there's
Right.
a lot. There's a lot. But from a commonality standpoint, fire pits are the most common. It's
Right.
It's the most cost effective, and it's the easiest place to socialize and sit around with people you know.
Right.
Yeah. Only so many people can fit around a grill or a pizza oven.
There you
get a lot
go.
of people
Yeah.
around a fire pit,
Right.
right?
Yeah, but we noticed, back in 2020 when we had the pandemic, and we noticed that with people spending more time at their houses, they realized how important that outdoor space was.
Yeah.
That they'd forgotten kind of what
Yeah,
that was.
they'd stopped
So
using
I'm
it.
sure that that's affected your business in terms of people thinking about, hey, how do I enjoy my house a little bit differently?
It did. And you got 4 people sitting at this table right now that know firsthand what someone's house meant to them following the during and
Right.
following the pandemic, right? And how important that was. And it was big for our industry, and there was a lot of people willing to make an investment into their property, into their yard, their outdoor living space.
Right.
And obviously, as a business, there's only so much we can do so fast. We were working as quickly as we could, but I think those that have carried that mindset to now, because a lot of us forget a lot of things fast, right?
fair.
Not that we're not asking for another pandemic, but that some of that mindset of how important this is to me and my family. This is where we reside. We're stuck, right? We're
Yeah,
stuck here.
living
We can't go
space,
anywhere.
right?
This is huge for us. And inside those walls, you can do a lot, but outside is extremely important too. So that was a big impact on our industry and what that meant to people. And we are still feeling the effects of that, and we're appreciative of it, because then we get to bring it to reality and support them in their mission and their dream to bring it to
Right.
reality. So it's cool. It's really
Where
cool.
people appreciate their houses now more than they used to, I think.
Well,
Yeah, I think
we have people all the time that they reach out to us and they're going to be listing their house. And they're looking at what renovations to do or what to take care of. And then they take care of those things. And then they're like, we should have done this years ago. Because now the house is the way we want it and we're leaving the house.
Yeah.
Well, why not enjoy that time? You put so much money and effort and time and sweat into it. Do the things that are going to bring you enjoyment, which is those outdoor spaces, because we only have so much summertime in Michigan. And, once May hits, people want to be outdoors.
Yeah.
They're sick of being indoors.
Yeah. What better way to do it than their very own home, right? You don't have to go out somewhere or go to someone else's house. You can just have your own little oasis.
It's right there. Open it up. Yeah, and it's to your point, in the wintertime, you can only run away so much, right? We're headed to Florida, to Mexico, to California, wherever you're going. It's warm, it's nice. Those usually last a few days, maybe a week or two, if you're fortunate for it to last that long. And then you come back to the reality of like, okay, it was 85 and sunny when we left, and it's 28 and snowing when we got back. Because that escape only lasts so long. Whereas the Michigan escape, we live in a northern climate, we know that, but it's home. It's what you've made home. Your family, your friends, your neighborhood, your community is here. So to utilize your outdoor living space, but have it constructed and built to withstand the entire season, as much as be out there when there's a foot of snow on the ground, it's okay. Even though you're not there, it is suitable and going to be ready for you when May rolls around and people are ready to enjoy it. So there's a lot to take into place. You can make it look pretty, but it doesn't mean it's built right. To build it right and make it look pretty is definitely our focus the whole way through. Yeah.
And you guys have amazing work. I know. So do you guys have a showroom? Because I know where you can see your stuff, but I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, so we have a display here at our shop at 59 in Argentine, roughly Precision Pavers. And we probably have about 25 different pavers on the ground. So, a homeowner can come, if they're interested in doing the job, they can come to our shop and, kind of take a look and see different bricks on the ground,
Right.
And then we also have at the shop, there's about 8, I'd say, A-frames of different colors and brick from some of the suppliers that we deal with. And then one shout out I'd like to do is, Brighton Stone and Fireplace. We installed all their displays there, and there's probably 30, 40 different displays at Brighton Stone, from Unilock to Oaks, some of the brick suppliers. So we do like to send homeowners, if, they're dealing with us, over to Brighton Stone and kind of just, take a look and see the different pavers.
Yeah, and that's an impressive setup over there that you guys have built to be able to go in and kind of see conceptually a little bit about what's possible.
Yeah, it showcases our work too, right? It's not only here's a lot of different options of some examples, right? It's not massive scale. It's not a whole patio or a whole driveway, but it's a sliver of what that could look like to get you to better understand. It's better than a swatch of paint when you're picking the paint color for the wall.
That's true. Fair.
But it's in the ground, and then it also displays our work and the pride that we take in doing our work. And to Dan's point, that's, from a Livingston County standpoint, Brighton Stone's a great vendor and relationship to us in terms of what we do for them and what they do, especially for us. Yeah, it's big.
Great. Yeah, it's good to have that shout out
Right.
because we are all such a community and so many businesses are just really intertwined with one another.
It is. It's big. It's big. If I had to pick one word for Precision Pavers, I think support would be it. Where it starts from within, supporting each other. Not only starting with our personal lives, because that's what's most important, supporting each other every day in the office and on the job, but supporting the customer's dreams and their reality and what does that look like. And there are obviously price points associated with things, but you do what you can in your power to bring that to reality, or at least get them to understand what a job like that would cost. But also from a vendor standpoint, back to the Brighton Stone part, supporting them and who they are, and a family-owned company as well. It's not some massive corporate business that says, hi, I'm Jim Bob, and I would like to earn your business. Call me if you need me. It's truly a family. And, that's
they're
who we
local,
are.
right?
That's who they are, and we click with that.
Right.
Whereas it's on a massive corporation level, yeah, okay. Do we still have to grab some stuff from Menards or Home Depot sometimes? Sure, right. It's just that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
But when we have the option, a
Support local, right?
family-owned business is huge
Love
for
it.
us. Huge,
That is so good.
huge. Yes.
Yep. No, that is really good. And I know that, people listening out there, what they're looking for is, like you guys said, they're looking for someone to help them with their vision. They're looking for a partner to say, hey, what can we do with this? And how does that work out? Because again, they have no idea where to start, and they don't know, is this a project that takes 3 days or is this a project that takes 3 months? Right. So sometimes, how early, when, I know we've talked about, it can take a year, it can take a few weeks. I guess the question is when do you want them to reach out? Like when someone's looking at a project, and I know you guys can connect them to help with financing as well, right?
We can, absolutely. Dan, I'm going to let you take the want to reach out standpoint, because Dan's got a lot of the weight on his shoulders with the design piece, right?
Right.
Getting there and taking measurements is one thing. Bringing the vision to reality is another. So.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, it's people reach out in the winter, and we all I can work on those during the winter, But typically, I'm just being honest, once the sun starts to shine, in the spring, everyone calls at once, But so realistically, yeah, I mean, I would love to get a phone call, and then I have a couple months, lead time of, hey, I can design this. We can go through the whole process, like just have a good experience of not feeling rushed to making such a quick decision when, the schedule starts getting super busy, and then, now they don't get the full attention where, if we plan accordingly and we can start the design process and walking them through the material, it just works so much better for everybody, you know?
Yeah. And is this, I guess some of the projects probably require permitting as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, obviously depending on the scope of the project and what's going on there. But yeah, permits, and it depends where you're working, right? Permits are required for certain things in some areas and not for those same things in other areas.
Right.
But permits oftentimes are a really fun thing for us to work through.
Right.
But then the homeowner doesn't have to worry about it so much, right? You guys take care of it.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. No, that is something in terms of, because there's going to be a lot of questions of how things will be done. There's going to be, depending on what's being done, visits to inspect the work that we're doing to make sure it's being done right. And I know I've related it a handful of times, but similar to building a house, right? There are permits. And as much as we aren't building an actual physical, home, it's again, instead of the indoor living space, it's the outdoor living space. And there's a lot to it. And there's gas lines, and there's electrical, and there's, whether there's decks going in with footings and things of that nature, we're getting checked on.
Right,
so from a permit standpoint, that
and
is.
sometimes there's even HOA approval.
There is.
Well, the funny thing is you guys know about all that, but a lot of times homeowners, they don't realize it. Mm-hmm. They're like, but it's already there. I'm just changing it from wood to pavers.
Or it's my house, right?
Or it's my house.
I should be able to do whatever I want in my house.
Yes. No, Dan, probably hour and a half before we left to get here, Dan was on a phone call, and the drawing that he had done, and when I call it a drawing, it's a 3D gorgeous rendering, is what the homeowner said, hey, I just want to make sure this is what I can present to the HOA so they understand what it is we're trying to accomplish here. And for as many years as he's been doing it, a lot of his renderings have been presented to HOAs, and outside of maybe a couple random specific questions, those are usually good to go.
Right.
But when it comes to permits specific to a township or a city, we 100% work with those townships and cities to accomplish those.
Exactly.
Yep. Make sure it's done right, and there will be no backlash later of what wasn't done and work needs to stop because what are you doing?
Well, the homeowner doesn't even understand that they need to call Miss Dig for something. Right. They have no clue that there's electrical lines running underneath this stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Some do, but yeah,
Some
there's
do.
enough people that don't.
Or even if they do, they don't realize, this is where it could be, right? These are, you guys are the experts in like, hey, these are what the obstacles could be, and we're going to take care of those things before they become obstacles.
Yes. Yeah. I'm on the initial visit too. I mean, Dan and I are usually always asking, do you have septic? Do you have sprinkler system? What do you know is where? Because if you don't know, we'll find out. We'll do that part to get with the county or the city to find out what's going on. To your point of misdig, because there's a lot of digging going on, and when we get to those areas, that's when it goes from a machine to doing it by hand. So you can be very careful to make sure you're not disrupting what's going on, because there's been plenty of stuff that's not marked, and you're doing your thing, and you're like, well, what was that? And there's a cable line. And then the homeowner walks out and goes, my internet's not working anymore. Yeah, well, it wasn't marked, and we found it.
Right.
Right here. So then we're making the phone calls to Xfinity, AT&T, whoever that is, to make sure that repair is taking place. But we obviously are doing as much homework as we can ahead of time to make sure that that doesn't take place.
Right. And you mentioned septic.
Yeah.
In Livingston County, there's a lot of septic systems.
Absolutely.
And I have been surprised that sometimes we'll talk to a homeowner that didn't know they were on septic.
Wow.
It happens every once in a while. Or they have no idea where it is.
Right.
And sometimes the county doesn't know where it is because it was there so long ago.
Yeah.
So, people don't know that there's things you can't put on top of a field.
Yeah.
And that's, again, where you guys come in. Even if it's just, hey, we can't drive the truck over this section of the yard.
Correct. And that's honestly...
That's one of the first things, when I initially go out to a job. What's access look like? Because that kind of does matter in a price, because if it's hard access, well, it's hard work. It's even harder work,
Yeah.
Right.
And so making sure that, we can identify what our accesses looks like is a big deal.
Right. Yeah.
So
It's a big difference. Now, was there anything that we haven't touched on that you guys wanted to make sure that we covered?
No, I mean, I think you guys, by the way, thank you for not only having us, but asking the questions. No, I think we touched base on a good majority of those. And I think going back to what I said a little bit ago, the one word would be support. We're here to support you. Whether it's someone who's looking for a job and wants to be a part of the team, you're here to be supported. And whether it's someone who wants to bring a front yard, side yard, backyard, whatever vision it is to reality, we're here to support you. Obviously, the people who are a part of the Precision Pavers team get paid. The materials that are installed cost money. So there are associated numbers with jobs. But regardless of what the vision is, we want them to know that they've got our support. And when and if it comes to the time where that job will be done, the people who are working on site are very supported people. And I always joke about margaritas and chips and salsa because it's as much as it might look like a landmine went off, because we have done everything we need to do to start the process. We're tearing out old stuff. We're excavating just virgin soil to begin the installation process. There's usually some good music going, and you're kind of in an environment where I can't tell you the amount of times you walk on a job and you're like, this is like, I kind of just want to stay here. Like, why do I go back to the office? This is more fun here than it is anywhere else, right? Yeah. Because they're having a lot of fun. They're showing up, they're caring about others, and they're having fun. And when I say they, it's our team. And they're supported. While they're supported, the homeowner or the commercial property owner is supported to bring whatever vision it is to reality. And that includes the maintenance side too. Whether it's cutting the grass, plowing the snow, installing the mulch. So that's really it. Just to know that the support is there. In my time in this industry, I couldn't be a better testimonial to the team at Precision Pavers and the support that they give to the people and the customers. So it's great.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That is great. So if someone wants to reach out to you, what's your website? What's the best way to contact people?
Yeah, so if someone wants to reach out to us, I tend to send them to, the Facebook link that we have. There's just a bunch of updated photos, of things going on right now. We also do have an Instagram, and then you can also call us at the shop, which is 800-691-5792. Typically, if we don't answer, me or Zach will get back to you as soon as possible. And then, or you can send us an email and we can reach out, or you can visit our website, precisionpaversinc.com. And
Go from there. Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. It was great to learn more about your business and how supportive everything is. That was nice too.
Yeah. No, thank you for having us. Thank you guys for what you do community wise. I mean, to sit down and create this, right, with where you guys are in Livingston County and what you do is awesome, because there's a lot of people who are focused on themselves and the success of their business or themselves as an individual. And for you guys to connect the dots with so many different people and make it happen is awesome. So
Well, thank
you
you so
guys
much.
for doing what you do. It's
Oh,
very cool.
Our passion project. It's so much fun to do.
It is. And those are the best ones. The
Yep.
ones yes, absolutely.
100%. And I would suggest everyone out there, if you're looking to change your backyard, change your space, please reach out to Precision Pavers, because, being in real estate, we understand how important your home is, and we understand how valuable it is to be able to enjoy the home you're in. So why not enjoy it as much as possible and have it be that vision of what you're really looking for?
Quality of life, right? It's sometimes people get caught up on resale. That's not what it's about. It's about living your best life in the house and space and place that you have. And there's great resources, great people like you guys that can help with that process.
Absolutely. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. And
Welcome to Livingston.